Welcome, and thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy this video, we invite those of you who haven't yet done so, to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification icon, to be notified when the next one is uploaded. We'd like to urge those of you who haven't yet done so, to sign our online petition for an inquiry into the BBC and Channel 4's coverage of Lewis Hamilton and Abu Dhabi. A link has been provided in the description. If you are on X, then please repost our tweet. Thank you. This is a follow-up to our previous video, Axed Lawson blows the whistle on Max Verstappen and Red Bull conspiracy, to expand on the Verstappen's role in the conspiracy and show how Red Bull stock has been plummeting down under in response. To recall briefly, Lawson's sister has stated on her social media that there is so much that she has to say, and it doesn't take a genius to work out that it will all be highly damaging to Red Bull, talking about how they treated her brother unfairly. Aside from the obvious that 2 races is a shockingly short period of time to assess a driver, and says more about the team and their driver academy than the driver, there are other ways in which Red Bull could be seen by his sister to have treated him unfairly. For example, if they directly or indirectly encouraged the brash arrogance that made him a target after his sacking, then they could be accused of throwing him to the wolves. In this video we will be highlighting some of the evidence that suggests that there is more to Liam's demotion than performance over 2 races. For example, based on the Lady Doth protest too much principle, we can extrapolate that Max Verstappen had something to do with Liam's demotion. Otherwise, why would a person notorious for hounding his teammates out of the team suddenly be allegedly speaking out on behalf of the latest teammate to be kicked out? For whatever reason, there is little said about his time in the junior team with respect to hounding teammates or being head and shoulders above them. In 2015, he just managed to edge out a closely matched teammate Carlos Sainz to gain promotion to the senior team during their time together in the junior. However, when he got there, he was being outperformed by Daniel Ricciardo for the first 2 seasons until the team started enabling his misconduct on and off track, culminating in the Baku accident that Max caused, but the team chose to blame both drivers, in much the same way that Mercedes had infamously done with Rosberg and Hamilton in 2016. That was the beginning of the myth of the cursed second Red Bull seat, which was a euphemism for the team enabling Max to instigate unhealthy competition on and off track, against successive teammates. It wasn't until Albon and Gasly left Red Bull that they were able to express their true opinions about Max's over-aggressive driving style. In the meantime, Max let it slip that he was asked for his opinion on Albon before his demotion, and when someone asserts that he gave his honest opinion under those circumstances, you know that is a euphemism for slating his teammate. But critically, why was Max involved in the process at all? From then on, Max was publicly reported to have been influential in deciding the future of his teammates. Imagine having to compete against a teammate who you know the team favors and who has a say on your tenure. We won't even waste any time on how Max and his father hounded Perez out of Red Bull, after the Mexican had sacrificed his drive to help Max in Abu Dhabi in 2021. The following year, Max and his father made it quite clear that they expected Red Bull to support the Dutch, forcing the team to try and pretend that both drivers were free to race, contrary to the evidence that was playing out on track. Now, this same guy is being represented in the media as someone who was critical of the decision to demote Liam. But critically, what has perhaps been less discussed is the fact that it was a Dutch media outlet that leaked Liam's demotion ahead of the official announcement. The leak coming out of a Dutch media outlet suggests that in his customary fashion, Verstappen was a party to the decision to demote his teammate, and any third-hand suggestion to represent otherwise was a case of protesting too loudly. There is no disputing the fact that Liam's demotion was as sudden as it was unexpected, which is why many wondered what the real reason behind it was. It has been reported that Honda, the Japanese car manufacturer and provider of Red Bull's engine, who are paying upwards of $10 million per year to keep Tsunoda in the junior team, have doubled their payment to put him in the senior. This offers a better explanation for the sudden and inexplicable decision to demote Liam after only 2 races. On the surface, getting paid millions of dollars to put a Japanese driver in your car ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix makes more sense than the duty of care reason given for crushing a young driver's hopes and confidence. Where was the duty of care when the young man was left to find out about his demotion in the media, following worldwide speculation after the news was leaked from a Dutch media outlet? Where was the duty of care when Red Bull was focused on limiting the damage to its reputation by further undermining their driver's confidence and setting him up to be trolled on social media? Furthermore, putting the cash incentive together with a tantrum from a Verstappen panicking that he will need a Checo-style reargunner to help him in this year's fading hopes of a 5th title, provides a better explanation than a ruthless Red Bull throwing a young driver under the bus, just because. But as the old saying goes, act in haste, repent at leisure. Expectedly, with all the attendant worldwide publicity, Liam Lawson was trending on Google, and with all the negativity, Red Bull stock started plummeting down under, as commentators started lining up to slam them publicly, while politicians and other celebrities showed support for the youngster. Down under, Red Bull is being labeled a team in crisis that is using Liam as a scapegoat for its underperforming car. Questions are being asked about why, if a succession of drivers are proving to be unsuitable, Red Bull have not moved heaven and earth to find better drivers. This ties into what we were saying in our previous video, that there comes a time when questions have to be asked about why the Red Bull Academy, that has produced almost half of the drivers on the grid, has yet to produce one that can drive its car at the senior level. There comes a time when you have to start looking at the Red Bull team rather than the drivers that are being scapegoated. Now that the conversation has started down under, how long before it starts to spread around the globe? The Japanese GP is as much a test for Tsunoda as it is for Red Bull, because if we include Ricciardo, he will become the 6th driver to have partnered Verstappen, with 5 of them graduating from the Red Bull Academy. Out of those 6, only Ricciardo outperformed him, but nevertheless chose to leave because of the perception that the team favored Max. The other 4 had to contend privately and publicly with the notion that the car was set up in Max's style, and his over-aggressive driving style was only an issue if they didn't give way to him. Well, it looks like Tsunoda will be the last of the sacrificial lamb, because his immediate predecessor has affirmed that professional drivers should be able to adapt their style to whatever they're driving. So, if the last graduate who was able to successfully adapt their driving style to suit the senior car was the one that was there before Max, and left because he felt the team were favoring him, while 4 of his successors including a non-graduate have failed, then questions will arise about the team, if the 6th driver also fails. But this time, it could be most interesting as he has the support of the engine manufacturer, and the notion that the car is inherently trickier will be harder to sell. Forza Ferrari.